Welcome to For the Record. I'm Ryan Recker. Our Commitment 2024 coverage continues as we are now just over 2 weeks until Election Day. Today we focus on the race for the seat in Pennsylvania State Senate District 37. The Welcome to For the Record. I'm Ryan Recker. Our Commitment 2024 coverage continues as we are now just over 2 weeks until Election Day. Today we focus on the race for the seat in Pennsylvania State Senate District 37. The candidates, Democrat Nicole Rosito and Republican Devlin Robinson, both sit down with us for extended interviews. We start with our Michelle Wright going one-on-one with Rosito.
With me now is one of the candidates running for Pennsylvania's 37th Senate seat, Nicole Rosito. Thanks so much for joining us here today and going over some of the issues in your campaign. I want to start off by just introducing everybody to who you are and your background as a teacher. So talk about that a little bit.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle. Yes, I'm a 28-year public school teacher. Both of my parents were also public school teachers, as is my husband too. He's a public school teacher at Montour School District. I am at South Park. I am a labor union leader within our district. I also coach and am a mom of two.
Coach basketball.
Coach basketball, yes, indeed. Boys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, you know, I've coached the gamut of sports. I've coached softball, volleyball, whatever the superintendent asked me to do, I'm there.
And so why do you want to kind of change gears and run for Pennsylvania Senate?
It's been very fulfilling, my teaching career, but it was at the point where I felt that people here in Pennsylvania needed more. In Harrisburg, I think we are lacking voices of the everyday working family, which I represent. I was born and raised in the 37th District. I've also raised my family here in the 37th District, and Harrisburg needs a common sense approach to some of their decision making.
So let's go over some of the issues facing your district and the state in general, starting off with fracking. That has made national headlines. A lot of states don't even know what fracking is, but we know it so well here in Pennsylvania. What is your stance on fracking?
Pennsylvania has benefited from industry, very much so. I do believe that it has an appropriate place. I think that boroughs, communities, and school districts need to be buffered and safe. Children should not be denied clean air and clean water as a result. I do believe that there needs to be a point where we transition into these new clean, green energy jobs, but without losing those jobs. There has to be a transition phase where we have training, adequate programs for people to, you know, look ahead to the new horizon that we have. But definitely industry does have a place here in Pennsylvania.
Let's talk about abortion. That is such a big thing in the election. And now that the onus is back on the states to decide whether a woman has the right to choose, or those who are against any type of abortion procedures, talk about what you think should be done when it comes to abortion in Pennsylvania.
Well, this is very personal for me, Michelle, as I've taught many students, and you know, I want for them to have the best future possible. I don't want us to have to go back in time. I knock on a lot of doors and I hear a lot of voices from people that are quite concerned. Reproductive freedom is definitely at stake. We were one governor away from a possible epic failure on women's health care. With my appointment to the state, with my win in the election for the state Senate, we could have that majority on the floor to make it safe for women to make those choices, to have those freedoms. but it also affects more than just women. I'm hearing from men who have daughters that are married, husbands that are going through the process of IVF. This has become a family issue and also a woman's issue, and it needs to be protected, and I plan to protect that 100%.
A lot of eyes in the state are on your particular district in this race because it's going to be close as to which party is going to be in control. Do you feel that pressure, and what kind of outside voices are you listening to when it comes to your district?
My district is a very purple district. We have excellent blue ribbon schools in the 37th district. People actually move to my district to have their children educated at some of our great schools. I am focused on funding public education for these people. I do not want our taxpayer dollars funneled to unaccountable charter schools, which is happening right now. $139 million in just 1 year within the 37th district. My opponent has voted to funnel away. And I hear those voices. I'm one of those voices. I'm a mom, I'm a teacher. I have my boys are public school educated. And I really want our districts to continue to thrive. And it is a flippable seat. And I'm working very hard to make sure that families are represented here in the 37th.
A lot of eyes are going to be on your particular race, I know. Let's talk a little bit about U.S. Steel. That's another issue that's kind of a hot topic. Should the sale be allowed to go through? I know that's going to have major implications on a lot of steel workers here. They're worried about keeping their job. And the question is the sale appropriate, or can it be viable on its own without this sale?
There's much to say about that. My grandfather was actually U.S. Steel de Nora, third generation union, and those union jobs are very important. And, you know, I'm uncertain what's going to happen with that sale moving forward. But definitely jobs need to be protected here within the Mon Valley for sure. And that has to be negotiated within that sale.
Do you think that the sale should go through, though?
As of right now, I'm uncertain as to whether that should happen. I just know that those jobs need to be protected as a result.
Let's talk about some of the attack ads now. One particular one that is just airing against you says that you raised taxes on working families and seniors, and also that you opposed needed equipment for police officers when you served on council. So I would like for you to respond to this ad.
I never once voted to raise taxes, not once, on my term in council for 4 years. And I voted 20 times to increase public safety funding.
All right. The other issue that we've been hearing a lot about is a car crash, a single car crash that you were involved in. And some Republicans want some more answers about what happened. And I want to give you the opportunity to address that.
It was just an unfortunate car accident. No one else was involved but myself. I walked away from the accident. There was one officer on scene. Unfortunately, it did happen. People that I know have asked me about the accident and how I've been, and I'm doing well, and I thank them for their concern. But what I'm hearing more so on the doors is how people are going to be able to afford their medications and keep the lights on at home and pay their bills.
One thing that's happening now is your opponent is introducing legislation for mandatory radon testing in schools. I know a lot of schools already do that. Not all of them do. Should it be mandatory, and should that be something that the legislature enforces?
I absolutely support that. Anything that would help our students be safer is definitely in my wheelhouse for sure. And I go back again to all those millions of dollars that are funneled away to charter schools. If we had that, we could make sure that our students are safe from radon, safe from asbestos, and have clean water within their schools, which they deserve so much. A lot of our school buildings now are antiquated. They need updated. And if we had those resources, we could certainly do that more readily.
What about school violence? It seems like it happens so often now somewhere in the country. Lots of times around here, schools are shut down and there's at-home learning implemented because of a threat. What can we do to keep our students safe in school and in school rather than learning from home?
There's a lot of great legislation that's been passed in the House that's sitting stagnant in the Senate right now that has gun safety reforms. I could certainly support those bills and make sure that they're passed. You know, I grew up with a family of hunters. My husband has a gun that's stored safely in our home. I don't want someone to come and take those from us. However, we need to be smarter, we need to be safer, and those laws need to be implemented to make sure that our students are safe. I see the effects of the drills that we have on my students. My brother's a school counselor. Students go see him. They're affected by the drills that they have to perform in schools regularly, and that should not be a part of a child's life or lifestyle. And it's sad that it has to be, and I plan to work hard to make sure that we're safer in our schools.
Before I let you go, anything else that you want to add you think voters should know about you?
I'm working very hard for our families here. I've heard our voices. I've seen some of the struggles that people go through, and I understand. And I just want to take my classroom rules to Harrisburg for all of the people here in the 37th and across the state of Pennsylvania. And it's, you know, my students see them every day when they come into my library. It's to show up and be prepared, which I plan to do. The second thing is to listen to all voices, but use your voice, and it's time to use my voice right now in Harrisburg. And lastly, just always, always do your best, and that's what I plan to do for people here in the 37th District.
Still ahead on For the Record.
I'm a person that has always delivered for the Marines, for the country, and for the region.
We sit down with the other side of the political aisle, the issues that Republican State Senator Devlin Robinson says he is focused on as Election Day approaches. Welcome back to For the Record. We continue our extended sit-down interviews with the candidates in Pennsylvania's 37th Senate District. Earlier this half hour, we heard from Democrat Nicole Rosito, and now we go to my interview with the incumbent Republican State Senator Devlin Robinson. First, for those unfamiliar, why don't you give us a few moments on your background?
Sure. I grew up in Brookline. I graduated from Central Catholic in 2001, and proudest moment of my life is whenever I joined the Marine Corps, continuing a family tradition going back 4 generations. And what I didn't know is that September 11th was right around the corner, and I actually was not in the Marines. I didn't ship out yet, so I was able to change my contract to the infantry after September 11th. And I did 3 tours, 2 in Iraq, 1 in Afghanistan. Fought during the invasion in the Battle of Nasiriyah, which was the rescue of the Army POW Jessica Lynch, and then we went all the way up to Baghdad. Went to Afghanistan on the Pakistani border, and then went back to Fallujah for my last tour. Came out, started a business in 2006, and did a lot of work for trying to help my fellow veterans transition. And that's whenever I got exposed to politics and continued on that path.
And now here you are in 2024 seeking re-election. Why is re-election important to you?
Well, I think I've been doing a good job. I think that, you know, I come from this district and I represent the district well. I've delivered a lot of bills and a lot of grant money back to the district, and we're going to continue to do that for the next 4 years.
I'm going to run through a number of issues that are important to voters. We'll begin with fracking and your stance on fracking.
Look, I drink the same water that everybody else does. You know, I have to live in this environment. I live in the community, and I want it done safely. We need a very safe and robust energy sector in the United States and in Pennsylvania. And so fracking is a part of that. You know, I believe that that there's a safe way to do it and an efficient way to do it. And if those companies are polluting the water or polluting the air, then they should be punished.
Abortion, obviously a major topic, locally, nationally as well. It's back now in the hands of the states. Where do you stand on it?
I support the law that's been on the books since 1982, and I don't look to change it. You know, abortions should be safe and rare in Pennsylvania, and that's going to continue as long as I'm there. We cannot expect to legislate every situation that could arise during a woman's pregnancy, and so the government should not be involved between a doctor and a patient.
One of the attack ads running against you claims that you voted to ban abortions. How do you respond to that?
That's a flat-out lie.
You'll leave it at that?
That vote never came up, and I never voted for it.
Let's move on. Control the state Senate. That could be decided in this election. Your opponent, Nicole Rosito, described this as a flippable seat. That's how she phrased it. Does that put any pressure on you when you hear words like that?
I don't believe that this is a flippable seat. You know, I won this seat by 4.5 points in 2020. So I've been everywhere in the district. I've been working the district, and I'm going to continue to work the district. So,
U.S. Steel and the proposed sale to Japan's Nippon Steel. What is your feeling on that? Should that be allowed to go through, or is there a path where U.S. Steel could viably maintain these local jobs without that sale?
Well, U.S. Steel tried to invest in the Mon Valley Works in 2020 and 2021. They had $1.5 billion, and our own county health department wouldn't issue the permits. So they have been kicked around for far too long. And whoever's going to come in and purchase the assets in the Mon Valley, the most important thing is the jobs in the Mon Valley, and we just have to make sure that the deal is the best for the Mon Valley.
I want to move on to something from August 2023. You were on a hot mic and used some vulgar terminology, talking about a first responder from Pennsylvania Task Force 1. You immediately apologized for that. How do you reflect on that now with some time that has passed?
Well, remember, that was about getting a task force for an urban search and rescue division in Western Pennsylvania. Right now, we have to rely on Philadelphia to come with that equipment. And so when the Fern Hollow Bridge collapsed, it took over 12 hours to get the proper equipment into Pittsburgh. And we've had an apartment collapse. There was a person that was trapped under that apartment building for over 12 hours before we can get that equipment in Pittsburgh. So it got tense. Philadelphia wanted the money that was actually allocated in a study by Governor Schweiker in 2002. They want the money to supplement an already existing task force in Philadelphia and continue to serve Pittsburgh. I said that wasn't fair. So I apologize for the language that I used, but we got that money for the city of Pittsburgh.
You recently proposed mandatory radon testing for schools. What is your thought process behind that and the decision to push for that?
Pennsylvania sits at a very special area geographically in the United States. All 67 counties have elevated levels of radon. And you know, we've had a robust coal mining industry for the past 100 years. And a lot of that radon is seeping up through the soil. So it'll get trapped in the foundation, and continued exposure to it can lead to lung cancer in non-smokers. So we want to make sure that children who are the most vulnerable have a safe environment to learn it, that we're not exposing them to dangerous levels of radon at an early age.
Obviously, the safety of schools and students, teachers, and those associated with schools is always a main priority. What do you plan to do to combat the issue of school threats, school violence that exists?
We've allocated $100 million for every school across the state to be able to apply for safety grants. So the vestibule that you have to be buzzed into school, cameras, anything that has to do with security for the children, every school district, public and private, can apply for these grants. And if you are worried about, you know, a consulting firm coming in and charging to lay out that plan, the state police will do it for free.
You made news this past summer on a non-political front when you helped to save a man's life in your neighborhood. Can you talk about the response that you've received for that heroic effort and the bond that you've created with that man? He was a FedEx driver, and you and your neighbor, after he collapsed, helped to save his life.
He's become a very good friend, actually. We're actually, you know, I just picked up the sport of golf, and he has never tried it before, so we've been kind of learning together. I've never met him before, but, you know, talk about just right place at the right time. That wasn't his usual route that day. My neighbor wasn't supposed to be working from home, and I got delayed and had to run home and change. So everything kind of worked out perfectly, that we were able to administer CPR early and give him a fighting chance, and he ended up recovering.
And finally, do you have any final message for our viewers?
I would just say that, you know, I'm a person that has always delivered for the Marines, for the country, and for the region. And I'm going to continue to work, and I'm going to continue to deliver for our region.
You're watching For the Record, and we're back right after this.